Hello everyone, it's Tana and welcome back to the Rabbit Hole Designs YouTube channel. Today we're concentrating on the retro Christmas paper pack. I did show you the Merry and Bright stamp set with the wreath and the wreath that I colored in a couple months ago, but we don't use them in today's video. But we do use some sentiments from the Merry and Bright stamp set. So here I have cut out a whole bunch of circles, scalloped circles, hearts, scalloped hearts, anything that I thought would make a nice shaped ornament. I saw somebody else do this recently and I wanted to give it a try. So my first mistake here was thinking that my paper had to have a front and a back. So I went through the problem of doing all of this die cutting thinking they had to have a front and a back. And then you will soon come to see that they don't. They do not. So, moving on. We'll just count that as my what the fork moment for this video, right? Just forgot to insert the picture. Anyway, there was a lot of bright colors in this paper pack, and it made for some pretty cute ornaments. And of course, there were quite a few extra after I got done with the ones I needed for the two cards we're making today, which was one slimline and one A2 size. So here I'm going to show you after I glued them all together, making them a front and a back. I just found the center of each shape and made a score line down each one and then folded them up and creased them with the bone folder. The point of this is to make a layered 3D ornament that comes off of your paper. And I mean, you could even, I'll show you, I did something with the extras at the end, so I won't say any more than that. But after I get them all scored and folded, we're going to start gluing them together. Now, I would say making these with thinner paper is probably a better idea if you want more layers and more dimension. I did notice that because I did test it without gluing a double side to my paper, whether it had a back side to it or not, it was still pretty thick paper, so there's only so many layers I could put before it started falling out of its shape, the base shape, because every ornament has a base shape cut out of white cardstock. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. I think on average each one has about 4 or 5 folded pieces of pattern paper. More probably so 4 than 5. And there was a lot of them. Like there was quite a few. I'd say probably at least 16, 18 that I created. And they were relatively easy to put together, just gluing each one side on top of another, and then the last piece gluing over to the flat side of the base. Now this was me trying it with double-sided Rabbit Hole Designs paper that was not glued together. And I believe this was from one of the spring packs. So I was able to fit a couple more layers in, but not that many more. But it is pointless to glue the layers together to make double-sided paper because you don't see it. Once you glue those sides together, you're not seeing the back side at all anyway. I don't know what made me think that you would. Sometimes my brain doesn't work, guys. That's all there is to it. So now we're going to do some ink smushing, but I'm going to use acetate for this. So this is just a piece of packaging from a stencil, I believe. So for the slimline, I'm going to use Distress Oxide in Iced Spruce, Twisted Citron, and Festive Berries. And for the second one, which I don't believe I show, I use Twisted Citron, Festive Berries, and Picked Raspberry? I can't remember. We'll have to see. Anyway, I chose those colors because they matched a lot of the colors in the pattern paper from the retro paper pack. My throat's a little sore, so you have to excuse me if I sound funny. I did very much like the way my ink smushing turned out. It was pretty controlled this time around. Sometimes when I use the acetate or the packaging, it just doesn't turn out the way I want it to. So it was picked raspberry. So picked raspberry on the slimline, and then picked raspberry and festive berries on the regular A2 size cardstock. One piece was Stonehenge watercolor cardstock, and the other piece was Arches. And I did hit that with my heat gun between each layer of color to make sure they were dry, because I didn't want them mixing too much. And this is what I came up with. Then I'm going to go ahead and trim these down, each of these just a little bit, because I want some borders of my card bases to show at the end when we attach them. But we're not done with them yet. Plus there was a lot of white space still, and I did not want that much white space showing, so we had to trim these panels down. Now I'm going to go in with my Rabbit Hole Designs Bitty blending brushes, if that's how you say it, if that's their name. You guys all know I can never remember the name. I'm using Twisted Citron on the slimline card and just going around all four edges. And I believe I use Festive Berries on the A2 sized panel and go all around the edges. There's my heat kicking on. So we're getting our first big snowstorm this weekend, guys. I'm not looking forward to it at all. Not going to be a happy time. Today's Wednesday, and the warning went into effect at 7 p.m. tonight, and it won't end until sometime Saturday, and the governor has already declared a state of emergency starting tomorrow morning. So isn't that some fun news? Okay, so now we're going to use some Judykins, I believe it's called Sparkle Iridescent. I can't remember. I just purchased this on Amazon. I do know I showed you the top of it. And then I'm just going to rub my Versamark ink pad all along the edge and then heat set that as I go along. So I'll do one side, heat set it, do another side, heat set it. I just didn't want a whole bunch of glittery embossing powder falling off all around my desk while I was trying to rub that ink pad onto the edges. And I really like the look that this gave to the card the card panels. And it was very sparkly. I was surprised at how sparkly it was. I didn't know I could say sparkly so many times in one sentence. So now that that's all done, now I'm going to choose 3 ornaments and make a pencil, like take a curve. I'm just curving over the top part of the ornaments so I know where they go on my panel. And now I'm going to take my T-square ruler and go in and draw lines for my ornaments. And we're going to use a Versamark pen, which I'm dipping into my ink pad because it's dried out. And we're going to draw those lines in. And then we're going to pour some Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail Gold Embossing Powder on them. Now they're not perfect because they're hand drawn. And Lord knows if you've ever used one of these pens, it seems like after the first time you use it, your pen nib just swells out. There's no more definition to it. So I tried to keep it as straight as possible. And then we're going to glue our ornaments back in place. And now I have some colored bows from my stash to put on the tops of my ornaments. I did consider putting like a little piece of rectangle cut silver or gold cardstock on there, mirrored cardstock, for like the hanger on the bulb of the ornament, but it would have been covered by the bow, so it didn't really matter. And for that biggest ornament, I chose to pop that up with foam tape. It's the only thing that's popped up with foam tape, but it just looks right. It just does. And then I took the Merry and Bright from the Merry and Bright stamp set with the wreath and hit that with a Versamark down at the bottom there. Now I did originally use my powder tool, and then I messed up the sentiment and I had to rub it off and dry it and reapply the powder, so you just didn't see me use it, but it was there. And then I took Joy, the other sentiment in the Merry and Bright stamp set, and stamped that out on the A2 size panel. And once again, the gold embossing powder. And that's it for the front of those two cards. Now we're going to glue them onto their coordinating card bases. Both of them are white. The slimline is 4 by 8.5, and the A2 is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And after we get these puppies all glued on and I show you what they look like, I'm going to show you what I did with the rest of those ornaments. We're turning them into 3D ornaments for the tree. So I cut some sparkly holiday twine, gold and white, silver and white, and red and white. So we have little hangers. And we're going to tape those to one side of the ornament. And then we're going to put glue all around that back side and glue the other similar shape to that other half. I used all my reverse tweezers and a plastic clothespin to hold these together till the glue dried. Now, if I can remember, I can't for the life of me remember where I saw this, but it was recently. If I can remember, I will put that in the description box below, the link, so you can see what they did with theirs. But yeah, it was really fun. I'm always looking for new ways to use my pattern paper. And stay tuned, because December's videos, I'm going to have another pattern paper card for you. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys like what you saw here today. Don't forget to sign up for the Rabbit Hole Designs email to be aware of all new releases. And don't forget to check out Instagram to see the brand ambassadors' daily inspiration. And we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.